Welcome to Tell the Damn Story, the show that explores the many ways to navigate the successes and failures that aspiring and struggling writers face to make your journey that much easier.
Hey there, Chris.
Yeah. Hi, Alex. Hi. Yeah. Oh my God, I was hoping I'd be ready by now.
Yeah. What's up?
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Ryan. I write some stuff. That's Alex Simmons. He walks around being a legend for all the stuff he's written and continues to write. And there's a little behind the scenes for you. Very often we take turns picking up the topic for the day, sometimes with a coin toss. Sometimes we just throw virgins into a volcano until see which one gets the gods to smile. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to tell you that one.
No.
It was really virgin olive oil. Come on. This is a non-lethal show, ladies and gents. So I got to tell you, Alex, I promise you to have a topic.
And you don't have?
Look, if I'm honest with you, I'm on a journey. I'm really on a journey. It's more than a journey. I'm going through so many different ideas. I'm kind of like on an Odyssey, trying to find this, and I can't get my way back home. Alex.
Yes, Chris.
Today on Tell the Damn Story, we're going to talk about Christopher Nolan's version of the Odyssey.
Yes. The big O.
Where it's loyal to the myth, where it's different from the myth lightly. We're not going to give you a blow by blow. Reaction to it, reactions to the reactions, all sorts of stuff. So today, ladies and gentlemen, if you're saying, well, what's in it for me? The idea that we hope you take away from this is intention of the artist. And then, to quote Billy Joel, once you release a song, they're like kids that move out of your house and they have lives of their own. You never know what's going to happen, and it hurts if they're not well received, and then it's nice, but not really your praise if it's going really well. And the Odyssey has been on its own Odyssey. The film has been on its own Odyssey with how it's being received. So let's talk today. And the reflection for you is, wow, to a smaller degree, I'd be harder to say a greater degree than the Odyssey. Your work might have a similar journey, and you got to be ready. You shouldn't think about it beforehand, because you should only serve the story while you're writing the story. But afterwards, the places it'll go.
And we have some examples that we'll share with you as well on, again, the upper strata and the more average or beginner strata. So we'll be talking about that. So let's start with where you want, because you, unlike me, have seen the movie.
I have seen the movie. Yes, I've seen the movie.
I've seen the movie, and it is good. No,
I've seen the movie with the glorious one. So,
she's a good date for you.
Yes, my entire life is a date with the glorious one, and I'm on the soon to be celebrating my 40th anniversary of being on a honeymoon with the glorious one, because she is in fact glorious.
I knew that.
Well named, that woman.
Yes.
So here's what we knew going in. Okay, we knew that it was Christopher Nolan. We've been fans of Christopher Nolan myself since Memento, but certainly. Yeah, that's great. And you should try and find if you're going to watch Memento, you should try and find the New Yorker short story his brother wrote called Memento Mori, and read that and then watch Memento, and the things that'll crackle in your brain.
And by the way, the short story came before the movie, as opposed to the book being
as a matter of fact,
adaptation.
There was a reason why he wanted to make the movie, because the story was so great and well received. Of course, the Batman trilogy and on. There's been so many great movies that Christopher Nolan has shepherded to the public. So we knew that. We knew that the cast was phenomenal. And full disclosure, we knew shadows of memories of our experience with the Odyssey sometime during high school. So, anybody who is our age or a little younger or a little older and says, well, I know the Odyssey page by page. That's because you're an English professor.
Yeah.
Other than that, we all know basics of it, a little bit here and there. You know, Tom Holland tells that great story about when he got invited to talk to Christopher Nolan, and he went and they talked about general things for a while, and it was very nice. And then he said, "The reason I brought you here was I wanted to talk to you about the Odyssey." And Tom Holland confesses, "Is my first thought in my head was, oh, I'm not sure if I even read that in high school." And that's probably how we all would feel. Oh, what do I remember? He says, I remember there was a Cyclops.
Men in togas. Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I remember. Yes.
So we went in like most of America, vaguely remembering the story, but knowing that we've enjoyed Christopher Nolan and the actors, the cast was incredible. Here was the experience. I'll give you a quick performance of Gloria and I watching the movie.
For those
And
of
if
you who
you're
are
listening,
yes.
go ahead, Alex.
Yes.
Translate that one for us.
For those of you who are listening, try to imagine a goldfish at coming up to the glass because they think you're going to feed it something. The mouth is open.
Without the mouth opening and closing, just the
Yes, the
O
mouth is
circle
open,
of
period.
shock. Yeah. Because here's what the experience of the Odyssey is. There is an ongoing question throughout a why. Why is he going through all this? Right? And the first thing is, well, he wants to get home to his wife. That's the first answer. And then the second answer is, well, all his men are saying he or they angered the gods. And the other thing you're hearing is that there is a band of just insane warriors that are sailing around, attacking places and taking what they want. And you're like, oh man, is that where this is going? You know, is Odysseus and his people, are they going to have to fight those guys? The resolution of that, of all of that, is such an incredible emotional, psychological, intellectual roller coaster. And when it all resolves, and it resolves in the final minutes, all three of those major questions resolved beautifully in the final minutes. The catharsis, and all stories, one of the reasons we exist the stories are so important to our existence, you know, almost on par with food, water, air, and safety, is that we need that catharsis. The catharsis is so emotionally, psychologically, physically, and intellectually satisfying and draining that you walk out of that theater changed, altered, you know, not for life, not like I am now going to live my life like Odysseus. No. It's just that much of an experience. The story is that well told that to not be moved by it would require someone to check your pulse. And then maybe your brainwaves. I don't know. It's that powerful of a story. Now think about that. And we have seen this. If you've seen other Chris Nolan stuff, you have seen that he has a particular talent for bringing all the plot lines, all the theme lines, all the character lines together at the end in a beautiful catharsis. Think of The Dark Knight ending on those words, you know, and bringing all that together and so on. Incredible. One of the two incredible film experiences that we were gifted with this summer. And probably the Odyssey will probably be viewed as, it's a bigger moneymaker than Oppenheimer, which is also from Christopher Nolan, and a bigger moneymaker than the Batman trilogy, etc. The amount of money something makes is not the be all and end all for me.
Right.
I think it will be remembered as one, if not the highlight of his creative powers. That says a lot.
Yeah.
Is there a but or an and?
Well, you were going in a different direction until you sort of got caught up in the bliss of the experience. So
Well, I want to establish the
right.
bliss, right?
Yes,
And
right.
I'd further establish bliss in the afterglow of that. Each
Share
other
the
again.
cigarette. Share the cigarette, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway. Who was the kid who was the vampire for a while? Sad to say that he's now Batman.
Oh, I wish you hadn't said that. Yes.
That guy.
Yes,
That
right.
guy.
I know who you mean.
John Leguizamo.
Yes.
John Bernthal. Lupita. Zendaya. Tom Holland. Oh my God, there are so many actors and actresses, or just actors these days, that put in superb performances. When I remember that kid's name, he's probably in his 30s. I will talk about how, I mean, he did, I think, the hardest job in that he had to be a cringing coward. You got his name?
Yes, I do. But I didn't want to interrupt you. It's
Oh,
Robert
please.
Patterson.
Robert Patterson.
Yes.
He had the most, I think, career challenging because he's played heroes so often, and he is distinctly not in this. John Leguizamo was a relatively small role, right? I think he should get a supporting actor nomination. His performance is that great. John Bernthal, fantastic. Tom Holland, fantastic. Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway. There's one or two scenes that she turns on a single line and throws lightning through your heart. That's mastery of the craft. Zendaya having a very limited amount of things to do and doing it to the point where you're moved. And on it goes. Tom Holland, you're used to him being, sorry to say, but Spider-Man, right? And this role that he's given is decidedly not that. He's still heroic, but his hands are tied by Zeus's law, and Zeus's law ties in very much with the whole aesthetic and ties into the other thing we want to talk about. Zeus's law is if a stranger comes to your house, you must treat that stranger as a member of your family. Treat them as you would be treated. Treat others as you would want to be treated. That's the cornerstone of Christianity, cornerstone of most religions, right? It's also a cornerstone belief, allegedly, of a group of people in this country at this time who believe they have the moral high ground and almost randomly attack things. And they destroyed Supergirl with this kind of attack because they can't handle powerful women. Oh, crap. And they tried to do the same with the Odyssey because it was too woke and it wasn't loyal or true to the Greek myth. News organizations just flew reporters and TV crews to Greece and asked people coming out of the theater. And they were like, yeah, I like it. That's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. That's terrible. I apologize to all of Greece for that terrible, whatever that accent was. It wasn't Grecian.
But I think
what
you're pointing out there is a certain amount of narrow-minded bigotry influencing their interpretation or their receiving of a film that was interpreted by someone who maybe had a broader frame of reference. But either way, they have a one-sided look at things, and this is how this particular bit of art is being received and pummeled by this particular group of people. And I think one of the things we were going to talk about today is how we as artists or creatives have to be prepared for potential backlash.
Now, in the old days, Alex, and you and I are old enough Notice I didn't just leave you out there.
Thank you.
You
Thank
and
you. I feel so much better now.
You and I are old enough to have been in, to a lesser degree than Chris Nolan. I don't want him to get jealous of us, but we've been in the public spotlight where people reacted to our work.
Yep.
Whether it was in my journalism days or your acting days or the earliest parts of our publishing days and writing days, where people would come up and like or dislike, you know. But in those days, they would have to come up to you personally and give you a hard time, or stand with your friends, which I did as a teenager behind a ball field and talk about whether this album is good or whether that book is, oh, hey, book, what are you, book, hey. Me and my buddy, I've spoken about Roger on almost every one of these episodes, or at least every 5 episodes. He assigned me more books than my high school teachers combined. And he would do this thing. If you ever see my old videos where I'm the neighborhood connect and I'm like, hey, I got a book for you. That's how Roger used to give me books. We'd both have jeans jackets on or dungaree jackets in those days that had the pocket inside. And then he'd read this. And he would take it out while none of the other guys were looking, and I would put it in my pocket. I wouldn't even look at the front cover until I was on my own.
And by the way, he's not talking about pornography.
No. We're talking about
thing. Yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut. We're talking about Jack Kerouac. We're talking about, oh God, so many books that were like that.
Yeah.
Conan.
Yeah.
Robert E.
The
Howard.
Shadow. You know,
Yeah. So it wasn't, but that's the mindset. And in those days, it would be you're hanging with your friends talking, or if you're a little older, you're at the bar saying, "The hell would I'm not going to that movie. I don't care how many people are lined up around the corner. What the hell? Oh, you're gonna go see Jaws. There's lines. Nobody's going to see that. The lines are too long.
Nobody's going to see that. The lines are too long."
I apologize to Yogi Berra. That's a line. It's like, oh, that restaurant, nobody goes there. It's too crowded. So it's just a paraphrase of that. Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is back in those days, right? It was a smaller group they were complaining to. Those very same people, as goofy as I made them, they're still as goofy. But now they have a global bullhorn in social media. And some of them spend a lot of time, an enormous amount of time. I know I didn't say that word. Don't worry about it. You kind of got the idea. Yeah. They spend so much time finding people to put comments on. You're wrong. You're too woke. You're this. You're that. You're fake news. I recently put something up about something. And, I had read an article in the Times about a southern state that was putting a bounty on trans people. And that's part of what my book, A Simple Rebellion, is. And I put a video about that and said, this is still available. And we got a couple of different comments. One said, I read that book and I'm amazed, astonished was the word she used, at how many things in that book have come true. And 2 of the other people said, one person, we'll forget that person. 2 other people said, you're woke, you're wrong, this, and
we don't know if they even read the book.
This is part of what creatives have to deal with. And, the person who compliments you, you can say thank you and all that. But I would caution against, strongly caution against engaging with the people who say you're too woke or you're fake news or whatever that stuff, because they're locked in. And
it's baiting too. And here's my take on this. And I'm gonna start out by saying it's what I practice. It is not necessarily my mantra 24/7. But what I practice is how much I can control my reactions to the thing as opposed to how much I can control other people. So I make, as Chris is suggesting, I make room for the fact that the moment I chose a career where I put myself out in the public arena, in other words, I'm not an accountant working in an office in a corporation on the 23rd floor at the back of the room.
We apologize to all accountants.
Yeah, yeah. I have chosen to, in my early days as a performer, as an actor, in my years directing, and then later as a writer, I have chosen to constantly take what I do and put it out into the public forum, into the arena, so that people can see it. Yes, in the best case scenario, you are hoping that it is well received or that you receive accolades and everybody loves you and everybody pays money and this is great and this is wonderful. And when that happens, there is bliss to go around. But you also have to be prepared for the audience that didn't like your performance. You also have to be prepared for the director who didn't like what you did or won't use you again. You have to be prepared for, your stories not being received, your songs being laughed at. You have to be prepared and build up a little bit of either Kevlar or, you know what? That's your opinion. Thank you. And move on. Because otherwise, to quote somebody far smarter than me, this way lies madness.
Yeah.
If you're going to constantly get into a fight,
And madness takes its toll.
right? Yes, it does. But a little shameless plug there, but go for it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Those later, right? But again, it is a reality that we do care. We do care about our work. We do want our work to be appreciated, and I guarantee someone will enjoy it. Maybe several someones, maybe a massive amount of someones, depending on how your career flows. But first and foremost, you need to satisfy yourself.
Yeah.
You need to protect yourself, and you hopefully can find, as I said, I'm practicing. You hopefully can find a place in your head and your heart where you can go, okay, that was that.
Yeah.
Onward.
Now,
you don't need ulcers.
Right. Let's start bringing it back to the Odyssey, because they tried to cancel the Odyssey. They tried to say it was too woke and try to drive down the financial success, let's say, of the Odyssey by saying casting Lupita as Helen was too woke. The only thing I know about Helen is that she was so unspeakably beautiful that entire nation went to war. I look at Lupita and I say, yeah, that would work. She's unspeakably beautiful. Unspeakably beautiful. Yeah. They didn't like the shade of her skin.
And what gave you that impression, my good sir?
Well, it's particularly there's a pattern. There's a pattern if you look at these people's complaints over the years, but also they made a much bigger stink about Lupita than they did about Zendaya. And Zendaya may be biracial and all that sort of stuff. She's I think you can have a great debate about who is more unspeakably beautiful, sure. And they're both great actresses, sure. But one is easily much darker than the other. And I think that's a trigger for some of these people. And one of the things I love about that particular argument, because it sounded very similar to, oh, Supergirl, that's terrible, it's woke, which is all noise, but it kind of worked for them. It did not work for the Odyssey. Might be a situation of crying wolf too much, might be a situation of the country and the world wanting to move back towards the middle of things and having heard enough of this. It might be because, like one guy in Greece, there was, like I said, a TV crew, a couple of TV crews.
In the country, folks, not the musical. Yes.
That's right. Greece, the country where the Odyssey originates from.
Right.
So they were interviewing people on their way outside the theater, on the way, people exiting the Odyssey. And they asked about how well it was adapted. And it's like, yeah, it's good. And again, that accent is, I apologize. And then they said, what did they think about Lupita? And said, well, she's beautiful. And she's in one scene. What's the big deal? And really, she is. She's in one or two scenes. She's on the screen probably for like a minute, which you can make an argument that's crime, that's criminal. Let her
Yeah,
let her act, you let her
yes.
do. But that's how. I mean, it's
That's
not.
another movie. Yes.
That's not Odysseus' tale. That's I forget the Bernthal's characters. Nope, not even him. The guy with the helmet that you never see, who was
Dr.
married to
Fate.
Helen. No, well, it looks a lot like it, but I'm sorry that uh,
Blanking. That's okay. I'll
I'm
throw it in
blanking
the
on.
notes.
Yeah, it was the guy who was the leader of the Trojan War. I forget. Anyway, there'll be 17 people on comments saying this person go back to high. Weren't you a high school English teacher? What the
Yes.
hell's wrong with you? Well, that's a long list, but that was the point, right? And here's the beautiful thing: the Odyssey is still in theaters. That and Spider-Man: Brand New Day are dominating the box office since July, and on it goes. So perhaps we are turning the corner, and you could take some hope from that. But if we're talking
Agamemnon.
about Agamemnon, yes, another very easy name to say. His friends called him Aggie. No, they did not.
No, they did not. No.
One guy did, but then he ate a sword. So the point here is that it didn't work with the Odyssey, and hopefully that's something to build upon, where we're once again, if you don't like the show, don't buy a ticket. It doesn't have to be this big campaign on social media because you don't like it. It's not about you. It's just your choice is individual. If you don't like it, don't buy a ticket. For other people too, it's not the end of your world. Go watch what you enjoy. That's all. But creatives have to be ready for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and again, we've magnificently managed not to get heavily political in this one because we could, because this particular problem does permeate our social existence. It is in the arts, it is in the politics, it is in our day-to-day lives. People will comment on what you wear and so forth. So ultimately, once again, you need to be as comfortable as possible with who you are and what you are. And as I say to a number of my students, who, thank goodness, because I feel I learned from them, are from different countries as well as age range. The blessing there is who you are, how you were raised, what you believe, what you love, what you dislike, all of those things are the filters through which your art must pass.
Yeah.
It's the lens that you use to look at the world. So ultimately, you are at any given moment going to see something differently than another person. You cannot get twisted into a knot every time someone points out that they don't see it the way you do.
Yeah.
Part of that
And,
is okay, this is my vision, my imagination, my, if I'm doing something like a documentary or whatever, I did my research. I know that I gave it my 110%.
yeah.
Now it exists, as Chris said earlier, as that child now moving out of the house
Yeah.
to survive, hopefully on its own.
Yeah. It would be criminal for us to bring up Lupita and not bring up Elliot Page, who was in
Okay,
this
let's
film.
not be criminal then.
Very small role as you could almost say a foot soldier, a small soldier who is kind of sacrificed for the greater good with the Trojan horse. And they said, well, that's a trans person. You can't have that. Why? What is the requirement of that role to perform it well? What did Elliot Page do? Elliot Page performed it well. Period. End of story. That was the assignment. Assignment fulfilled. Mission accomplished.
Let us
Anything
let us
else was just nonsense.
let us look at two things here that have come out of this conversation, at least for me. One, you have named a plethora, I love that word, of very strong performers, actors who run a gamut of stature, race, gender, life choices, skin tones, hair color, you name it, right? A
Yeah.
plethora of them. You've also talked about a story that takes place at a time when nations crossed paths. And there was definitely, unfortunately, sometimes because of armies taking over and looting and pillaging, but there was definitely blending of
Sure.
genetics. Okay.
They
The
also
world,
complained that couldn't be true.
the world that in which we live in right now wants things, certain people want things to look a certain way. That's not how nature has worked. And if you're a religious person, that's not how God set it up. Deal with it. Because the reality is, and again, through the blessing of my having for the past 10 years been able to teach writing to people from all over the world, we have a lot more to share and exchange and learn from one another than we have to aggressively battle with each other. Our similarities are legion. So ultimately, those folks who feel that it must be one way or no way, your days are numbered.
That's, I want to believe that, but I mean, this division in our country and the world, well, the division goes through all of United States history,
Yeah,
but the division of goes further throughout human history. The thing that has to happen, I think, if we're going to ever get over this and try to become the next thing we're supposed to become, is that the diverse people have to get into power and then pass laws and govern in a way that helps everybody. For example, Medicaid. If there are people in Appalachia, there are people in the South who could really benefit from that and are suffering now that it's been, let's say, damaged. Finding ways to improve that across the board will help turn some minds. I don't think all have to write and still have to live a way to lead them forward.
You're right. You're right. And another way of looking at what has transpired, even though we have to continue the battle for it, is that despite through human history this negative isolationist mindset, this I must be superior to whomever mindset, which is again human nature, not just one race. Despite that, we have had blendings, we have had cross-cultural experiences, we have built worlds and circumstances and situations where people come together for the common good.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that it happens. I continue to fight for it. And again, to bring this back to tell the damn story, the stories that show this, whether it's within the story or one can look at the Odyssey this way as well. Look at the casting of this story.
Right.
This is whether Chris Nolan was saying, I'm going to make sure that I get everybody I can represented in this film. Maybe he didn't say that. Maybe when like this person's talented, that person's talented. Oh, this person will be perfect for this role. Maybe that's what he did. I don't care. From what Chris has said, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm going to go see it soon. But from what Chris has said, he has managed to create, pardon me, a good, impressive, emotional piece of film theater that moved audiences and is making money. So ultimately, he's done his job, and it's whatever the next stage of this experience is for other people. That's great. We'll see where that goes. But certainly, again, writers, actors, creators, this is a part of the odyssey that awaits you to be prepared to take it on.
And remember to keep a little sense of humor, because
yeah,
part of the argument here was that Chris Nolan's Odyssey is not historically accurate. The Odyssey is a work of fiction. It's 3,000 years old, but it's a work of fiction. Now, the casting he did does happen to reflect, especially with the soldiers and stuff, the mixing that went on in those days, because you would hire mercenaries and that kind of stuff. But it's kind of, that's, you just have to acknowledge that there's a small percentage of the world that is going to say stuff like that.
That's fine.
They're not going to see how goofy it sounds. And you just believe in your work, do the very best work you can in the very best way you can, and put it out there, and pray for it every day. And
And on that
I got a
note,
text from my son the other day, Alex.
oh, okay,
He
yeah.
was He was at a light, the last light before he turns into where he lives with his absolutely lovely wife.
Mm-hmm.
And he got rear-ended.
Oh,
And
he's okay?
the amount of horrifying thoughts that crossed my mind, despite the fact that he was calmly texting, right? Those are the reactions that creatives do about their own work when it's out there in the world. Turned out there was a couple of scratches and da-da-da. He got the information. He put in a claim. Everything's fine. He is capable of surviving the world. So are your stories, as long as you prepare them the very best you can, make them the very best you can, and tell that damn story, and then let it go. It will find its audience. We'll talk about how in another episode somehow, but for now, that's your Odyssey.
Yes, and on that note, I will say like and subscribe, folks. Be here next week for another thrilling episode of Tell the Damn Story. Chris, as always.
And remember, share this episode with your grandma. Tell her that Alex is on there. Yeah, baby.
Right. And the calendar's coming. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, Chris.
Take care.